Hey, I'm Chris,
And I'm Natalie,
and we're somewhere.
south of Minnesota. Hey, how are you? This is my very first easy RV recipe. And it's a really hot summer day outside, so the last thing I want to do is turn on the oven and heat up our RV. And I really don't want to stand outside in front of a hot grill either. So I'm going to make cabbage rolls with a twist. This is a really easy recipe and it's delicious. So let's get cooking. In today's recipe, I'm using these frozen Taipei pork pot stickers. When I lived in Minnesota, my local grocery store carried some frozen pork and chicken dumplings that I used to use in this recipe, but I haven't been able to find those on the road. I've seen these pot stickers at just about every Walmart I've been to, and I thought they'd be a great substitute. But you can use a lot of different ingredients in this recipe, and we'll talk about that a little later. I'm starting with a pot of boiling water. You don't need a lot of water, just enough to submerge a single cabbage leaf. Wow, the water at this RV park is really dirty. I'm just kidding. The reason the water looks dirty is because I've already added some celery salt and vegetable bouillon to give the cabbage a little bit of flavor. Scoop the leaf down into the water and push it down a bit so that it cooks evenly. You only need to cook each leaf for about 2 minutes, so keep a close eye on them. If you cook them too long, they will rip and tear easily when you go to form the cabbage rolls. I actually think 2 minutes is just a bit too long. Somewhere between a minute and a half and 2 minutes is going to be perfect. You're just trying to make them pliable. When I'm done cooking each leaf, I lay them on a plate, just one on top of another as I continue cooking each leaf. Depending on how many cabbage rolls you want to make, you might need to buy more than one head of cabbage. I usually get about 8 good-sized leaves from one head of cabbage. I always buy 2 because cabbage is really cheap and it's good for you. I like having leftovers in the fridge, so I typically cook more food than we're going to eat in one sitting. And I can always use any leftover raw cabbage in a salad or some steamed vegetables, or maybe even make a small batch of coleslaw. Next, you want to lay your cooked cabbage leaf out on a clean, flat surface. I'm using a cutting board. Place a slice of mozzarella cheese at the base end of the leaf. Then take a frozen pot sticker and place it on top of the cheese. Now start to roll. Then you want to tuck in the edges. And continue to roll, and then flip. You can secure the cabbage rolls with toothpicks, but I like using pieces of uncooked spaghetti noodles. Then I don't have to worry about picking out the toothpicks after they've cooked. I'm just setting the cabbage rolls on a plate while I make more. Let's do another one. Lay the leaf out flat, some mozzarella cheese, and a frozen pot sticker, and roll, and tuck, and roll, flip, and secure with a toothpick or a spaghetti noodle. And voila! A beautiful cabbage roll. I'm going to cook these in a frying pan with a lid. If you're cooking a larger batch, you'll probably want to use a large pot and stack the cabbage rolls. Just make sure it has a snug-fitting lid. Put some oil in the pan. I'm using olive oil, and let it heat up a little bit. Then it's time to add the cabbage rolls. I'll get mine all situated. Now pour some tomato sauce over the top of them. And then add some diced tomatoes. How much of all these ingredients you add really depends on how many cabbage rolls you're making and personal preference. You just want to season to taste. Let's pause for a minute and talk about canned tomato products. You can now get them with added flavors like oregano, basil, and garlic. In fact, when I went to my pantry to get a can of diced tomatoes, the only cans I had mild green chilies in them. At first I was a little upset about this, but in the end my cabbage rolls ended up having a nice little kick to them that we really enjoyed. So when you're shopping, maybe pick up some of the flavored options. They can really add a little something to a recipe. Alright, back to cooking. I'm adding some vegetable bouillon and some cheap Italian seasoning, some salt, and some pepper. And that's it. Put the lid on. Let these cook over low to medium heat for about 15-20 minutes. This is a pretty light meal. If you want something a little more filling, you could put these over rice or egg noodles. I've put these over buttered egg noodles before, and it's a great combination. But tonight I'm just serving them alone. Spoon a little of the tomatoes and sauce over them, or a lot depending on what you like. If you want to get fancy, maybe garnish with some fresh basil or parsley. Looks so pretty. The mozzarella cheese is all melted inside. These are so good. Time to eat. So I hope you enjoyed the recipe. I had a lot of fun making it. And I just wanted to touch on a couple of things before I go. I remember when I bought that bag of pot stickers, I thought it was a little bit expensive. I think I paid like $10 or $11 for it. And when I got home, I realized it's a really nice resealable bag that I can store in the freezer for a long time. And there was about 30 pot stickers in there, so I'll be able to make this meal for me and Chris a couple more times. So if you work it out, it really wasn't too expensive. And this recipe is really versatile. You don't even have to use the pot stickers. You could go with the traditional ground beef and pork and rice, or you could get creative, maybe like a ham and cheese or a veggie version. I was at the grocery store the other day and I saw some chicken brats. I think there was a couple of different versions. One was like a chicken and jalapeno, and I think the other one was like a chicken and apple. I thought, I don't know how good those would taste on buns, but they might actually work really well with this recipe, chopped up with some pepper jack cheese. So let me know down in the comments if you try this recipe, what you think of it, if you used any different ingredients, or if you have ideas for any other ingredients that would work well with this recipe. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you. And bye for now.
If you like the video, then hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to know whenever we drop a new video, then hit the little bell icon. Hey, what's moving around in there? It's a cat! I'm out of here!